Hurricane Harvey has led to such severe flooding in the Houston, Texas area that now people are measuring the rainfall not by inches but by feet. Thousands, tens of thousands of people have been displaced, and unfortunately there have been fatalities reported. The number of fatalities are expected to rise as the story develops. Officials in Texas said Monday afternoon that at least 8 people appear to have died as a result of the storm battering the state. Now, as of those who have been displaced, officials are warning that the flooding would linger, and they're saying that more than 30,000 people would be forced from their homes. Shelters are at capacity. People are unfortunately being turned away as a result. 2 reservoirs were opened to release water to relieve the stress the downpour has caused in the region, which has seen as much rain in a few days as it averages in an entire year. That's according to reporting from the Washington Post. Now, just to give you some idea of how heavy the rainfall has been, parts of Harris County, which also includes Houston, were pelted with 30 inches of rain in the last 72 hours. And as a result, firefighters have had to respond to more than 4,000 water-related calls for service. Police rescued 2,000 people in the city, and another 185 critical rescue requests were still pending. So it's been incredibly serious, and a 59-foot river level threatens to overtop many of the levees in our area. It exceeds the design specifications of our levees. That's according to a judge, Robert Herbert, who lives in the area. So, of course, as always, when these types of stories develop, there are questions about the infrastructure and whether or not it can withstand this type of storm. And so, obviously our infrastructure does need a lot of help. It's a devastating storm, a devastating story, and now the governor of Louisiana is asking Trump to call a state of emergency for the state of Louisiana because the storm is moving out of Texas into other states. Trump has called for a state of emergency in Louisiana as well.
Okay, so let's talk about the ramifications of this and why this happened in the first place. So if you're one of those snowflakes who is going to get triggered when I say this has to do with climate change, go ahead and cry right now. If you're gonna say it's too soon, I'm gonna say it's too late. It's not too soon to talk about climate change. We should have talked about it a long time ago so the storms wouldn't be this severe. If you are a knucklehead who doesn't understand science and you say, oh, well, we used to have storms before, that doesn't answer anything. The question is, how severe are the storms? So to give you a sense of what's going on here, the Brazos River, the previous record, not the average, the previous record for how high the river was 54.7 feet. In this case, it became 59 feet, 5 feet higher. Obviously you can tell, about 5 feet higher than it has ever been. So there are 2 things that contribute to making these storms more severe because of climate change. There's actually a couple of others as well, but the 2 major ones are sea levels in the Houston region have risen by more than half a foot over the last couple of decades because the scientists told you the sea levels were rising, but you didn't believe them. What happens when sea levels rise? Floods, massive, unprecedented. Now they're calling this a 500-year flood. No, it's a 1-year flood. You'll have another flood just like it next year. You had one like it just the year before in Louisiana. Now Louisiana is gonna get hit again. You keep calling it a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. The scientists predicted it ahead of time and it's now happening. The second contributing factor is temperatures. So when the temperatures in the region go up by 1 to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which they have, that roughly equals 3 to 5% more moisture in there. Hey, look at that, more moisture in the air, and you have these sustained, unstoppable storms that just keep raining and raining until we have historic floods. Is this, at a minimum, partly due to climate change? Absolutely. This is what climate change looks like. It's not that storms didn't exist before, of course they did. It's that it makes the storms more severe. And here you have a storm that is way more severe. I'll add one more thing. now there's talk of rescues and assistance, and as well there should be. And there are some gross hypocrites like Senator Ted Cruz from the state of Texas, who when Hurricane Sandy hit the New York, New Jersey region, said we should not help those people. Now he's going around saying, oh, we need help, we need help. Of course you need help, and so do the people in New York and New Jersey did. So we work together as a community and we stand up for each other. So of course we should be helping the people in Houston. But what we should not be doing is giving $1 in assistance to the oil companies that are now crying about how, oh my God, we're gonna lose billions of dollars. Good. You're the ones who created this mess in the first place. You're the reason why we have the massive severe storm that we did and the human toll that it took and all the damage that it causes the whole wide world. And the one time it hits you, you are not getting subsidies. So they're why do you think Ted Cruz is out there? Partly to get votes, I understand that. The other reason is, count down with me, I guarantee it, and we'll show it to you on the show. He's gonna ask for subsidies for the oil companies that started this mess in the first place.
So Mike Pence was already asked about the oil companies and how they're suffering as a result of the storm. And he said, look, our #1 priority at the moment is to make sure that we save lives and we ensure that everyone is safe. However, after that, there will be talk about providing loans to, he said, small businesses that have been hurt in the area.
That is their #1 code word for big business. When they say small business, we track it. The money goes a little bit to small business, but the lion's share always goes to gigantic multinational corporations. ExxonMobil had refineries down there. ExxonMobil is not a small business. You want to help a local guy who's running a market in Houston? I'm right there with you. That's the point of government. We stick together. We help actual human beings. You want to help ExxonMobil? That over 40 years ago, this is a story that just came out at the end of last week. Over 40 years ago, had conclusive evidence that climate change was happening and it would lead to catastrophic storms. So when one of those storms finally hits an ExxonMobil oil refinery, no, we are not going to help. Those guys have been causing this damage and making all of us pay the costs all across the world. Did they chip in? No, they took all the profits home. When it hits them, let me just say I'm not sad about it. And under no condition should you take hard-earned US taxpayer dollars and give it to ExxonMobil, who created this mess. So we're doing a petition on the Young Turks. What it says is no federal or local assistance should be given to oil companies to recover from Hurricane Harvey. So that is tytnetwork.com/Harvey. So I guarantee you that after everything settles down, ExxonMobil and all the other guys with their oil refineries are gonna say, well, my oil refineries were hurt. No, your oil refineries are the ones that caused this problem in the first place. We've already paid for all of your mess and the whole world pays for it. It's about time that you bear some of the costs that you created in the first place. So not a single dollar to those oil companies that caused that mess. Sign that petition and make it incredibly powerful, incredibly clear to every legislator. We don't want our taxpayer dollars going to help those oil companies. We want it to help actual American citizens. Watch the Young Turks commercial free, download it or stream it. Watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.